A simple elderly woman is kicked out of a boutique. 1 hour later, her billionaire son's black SUV arrives. Eleanor Miller adjusted her weathered straw hat in the rearview mirror of her old Honda Civic. At 76, she maintained dignity despite her modest appearance. A simple floral dress, sensible shoes, and a well-worn cardigan. Today was special. Her granddaughter Jessica was getting married next month, and Eleanor wanted to find the perfect gift. She'd saved $300 from her small pension, setting aside a little each week. The upscale shopping district of Newbury Street in Boston intimidated her, but Eleanor reminded herself that she had as much right to shop here as anyone else. Her son Daniel had always told her not to let appearances dictate her confidence. Stella Maris Boutique gleamed with understated elegance. Its window display featured a crystal vase that caught Eleanor's eye, perfect for Jessica's minimalist aesthetic. The price tag read $275, within Eleanor's budget. Inside, soft classical music and the scent of lavender greeted her. A tall, impeccably dressed saleswoman approached. "May I help you?" The woman, Vivian, according to her name tag, assessed Eleanor with a dismissive glance. "Yes, please." "I'm interested in the crystal vase in the window display," Eleanor said. "It's for my granddaughter's wedding gift." Vivian's eyebrows rose slightly. "The Whitmore collection piece. That's $275. "Yes, I saw the price. It's exactly what I'm looking for. Perhaps you'd like to see some of our more accessible items. We have lovely picture frames starting at $50. Eleanor's smile dimmed slightly. "No, thank you. I've saved specifically for the vase. Could I see it more closely?" With obvious reluctance, Vivian retrieved the vase, setting it on the counter. It was even more beautiful up close, the crystal catching the light in mesmerizing patterns. "It's perfect," Eleanor said softly. "I'll take it." This is hand-blown crystal from a renowned European artisan. It's quite delicate and valuable. "I understand. That's why it would make such a special gift." At that moment, 3 wealthy-looking women entered. Vivian's demeanor transformed instantly. "Ladies, so wonderful to see you again. The new shipment from Milan just arrived." She promptly abandoned Eleanor at the counter. After several minutes, Eleanor called politely, "Excuse me, I'm ready to complete my purchase." Vivian glanced over. "I'll be with you shortly," she said curtly, before turning back to the new customers, lowering her voice. "We have special pieces I've been saving for our preferred clients." The minutes stretched on. Eleanor's feet began to ache. Finally, after almost 20 minutes, she approached the group. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've been waiting to purchase this vase, and I need to get home before dark." Vivian's smile turned glacial. "As I said, I'll be with you shortly. Perhaps, if you're in a hurry, you might try the home goods store in the shopping mall. They have more suitable options." One woman snickered. Another looked embarrassed. Eleanor felt heat rise in her cheeks. "I've been waiting patiently. I would appreciate being treated with the same courtesy as other customers." "Look," Vivian said, dropping all pretense of politeness. "This isn't really the place for browsing when you can't afford to buy. You're taking time away from serious customers." Eleanor's hands trembled. "I can afford the vase. I've saved for it specifically." "Of course you have," Vivian said with obvious disbelief. She gestured to a younger saleswoman. "Miranda, please take over while I show these ladies our reserve collection." She added in a stage whisper, "And make sure nothing walks out without being paid for." The implication was unmistakable. Eleanor felt as if she'd been slapped. "Never mind," she said quietly to Miranda. "I've changed my mind." As Eleanor turned to leave, Vivian called after her. "The craft store might have some nice glass pieces more in your price range, dear." Laughter followed Eleanor out the door. Once outside, she took a deep breath, willing herself not to cry in public. With as much poise as she could muster, she began walking back to her car, her heart heavy with humiliation. Daniel Miller stepped out of the conference room at Miller Technologies' Boston headquarters, loosening his tie. At 48, he had built his cybersecurity firm from a dorm room project to a global enterprise valued at over $11 billion. "That went well," said Amara Johnson, his CFO. "The board is unanimously behind the European expansion." Daniel nodded, checking his watch. "Has my mother called?" "She usually checks in after her bridge club on Thursdays." "No calls from Eleanor," Amara replied. "But the NASA contract team is waiting in your office." In his office, Daniel immediately called his mother. When it went to voicemail, a frown crossed his face. Eleanor was meticulous about answering her phone. He tried again with the same result, then sent a text. "Mom, everything okay? Give me a call when you get this." During his meeting with the NASA team, his assistant Julian slipped him a note. "Your mother called. She said not to disturb your meeting, but wanted you to know she's fine. Quote, just an unsuccessful shopping trip. Nothing to worry about." Something in the phrasing caught Daniel's attention. His mother wasn't one for shopping trips. When the meeting concluded, Daniel immediately called her back. "Hello, dear," Eleanor answered, her voice slightly too bright. "I'm sorry I missed your call earlier." "No problem, Mom. Julian said something about an unsuccessful shopping trip." "Oh, it was nothing. I wanted to get Jessica a wedding gift, but I couldn't find anything suitable." Daniel knew his mother too well. The forced lightness in her tone told him something was wrong. "Where did you go looking?" A slight hesitation. "Just a few shops on Newbury Street." "What happened, Mom?" The line was quiet before Eleanor sighed. "It was silly, really. I found a perfect crystal vase for Jessica at a boutique. But the saleswoman, well, she made it clear someone like me wasn't welcome there." Daniel felt protective anger rise. "Which boutique?" "It doesn't matter, dear. These things happen." "Mom, which boutique?" His tone remained gentle but insistent. "See, Stella Maris, I believe it was called. But Daniel, please don't make a fuss." After ending the call, Daniel sat quietly for a moment, then pressed the intercom. "Julian, clear my schedule for the rest of the afternoon. And contact Reynolds. Have him bring the car around. You have the quarterly review at 4. Reschedule it, and find out everything you can about Stella Maris on Newbury Street. Ownership, financials, reputation, everything." 20 minutes later, Daniel sat in his black Escalade reviewing the information Julian had compiled. Stella Maris was owned by Victoria Harding, with 3 boutiques in upscale locations across New England. The business was successful, but carried significant debt from recent expansions. They'd also had several complaints about snobbish service toward customers who didn't look wealthy. As they approached Newbury Street, Daniel made a decision. "Reynolds, pull over here." He picked up his phone and made a call. "Amara, I need you to set up a shell company for a potential acquisition. Use the usual privacy protocols. Yes, immediately." "Wait here," Daniel instructed as he stepped out of the SUV. "This shouldn't take long." Vivian Chambers was having an excellent day. The wealthy women had purchased over $5,000 worth of merchandise, earning her a substantial commission. She was arranging a new display when the boutique door opened again. Her practiced smile faltered slightly when she saw a middle-aged man in an impeccably tailored suit and Patek Philippe watch that probably cost more than she made in 3 months. "Good afternoon, sir," Vivian said. "Welcome to Stella Maris. Are you looking for something special today?" The man glanced around with an appraising eye. "Perhaps. I understand you carry unique crystal pieces." "Yes, we have an exquisite selection." May I show you our Whitmore collection? It's hand-blown by a master craftsman in Prague. That would be perfect. My mother has been looking for something special. Vivian's smile widened. High-end gifts for mothers usually meant significant sales. These pieces make wonderful gifts. Does your mother have a preference for vases, bowls, or decorative objects? She was interested in a vase, I believe. His tone was pleasant, but something in his eyes made Vivian uncomfortable. We have several stunning options. She carefully lifted the same vase that Eleanor had admired earlier. This piece captures light beautifully and would make a statement in any home. It's lovely. How much? $275. It's one of our more accessible pieces, yet still exhibits exceptional craftsmanship. This one seems perfect. It's exactly what my mother described. Shall I wrap it for you? Please. He glanced at her name tag. Vivian, how long have you worked at Stella Maris? The personal question caught her off guard. About 3 years now. I'm the senior sales associate. And do you enjoy it? Very much. We pride ourselves on providing exceptional service to our clientele. Interesting. What would you say makes for exceptional service? We believe in treating our customers with the utmost respect and attention. All your customers. His voice had taken on a slight edge. Of course, she replied automatically. Even elderly women in outdated dresses who saved for months to buy a gift for their granddaughter's wedding. Vivian's hands froze. She looked up to find the man's gaze fixed intently on her. I'm not sure what you're referring to, she said carefully. I think you are, Vivian. A woman in her 70s came in here earlier today, interested in this exact vase. Instead of serving her, you ignored her, implied she was a shoplifter, and drove her out of the store. Sir, I believe there's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. That woman was Eleanor Miller, my mother. The blood drained from Vivian's face as recognition dawned. Daniel Miller was a well-known figure in Boston business circles. Mr. Miller, I had no idea. That she was wealthy by association? That's precisely the problem. You shouldn't need to know someone's bank balance to treat them with basic human dignity. The boutique door opened, and Victoria Harding, the owner, entered. Daniel Miller, Victoria said with surprise. This is an unexpected pleasure. I'm not here as a patron, Daniel replied. My mother attempted to be earlier today. Unfortunately, she was treated so poorly that she left without making her purchase. Victoria's smile faltered. I find that hard to believe. My staff is thoroughly trained in customer service excellence. Perhaps you should review the security footage from around 2 o'clock today, Daniel suggested. Victoria's gaze shifted to Vivian, whose expression confirmed there was truth to the accusation. Mr. Miller, if there was any incident with your mother, I assure you it doesn't reflect our company values. We would be happy to extend a special discount. This isn't about discounts or special treatment, Daniel interrupted. It's about basic respect. My mother doesn't use my name or wealth because she believes everyone deserves to be treated well, regardless of their perceived status. He placed a business card on the counter. My office will be in touch. As Daniel turned to leave, Victoria hurried after him. Mr. Miller, please. I'm sure we can resolve this matter amicably. Daniel paused at the door. My mother won't be returning. She has too much dignity to shop where she's not respected. Nice place, though. Good location. The cryptic comment hung in the air as the door closed behind him. Outside, Reynolds held the SUV door open as Daniel slid into the back seat. How did it go, sir? Reynolds asked, pulling into traffic. About as expected. Daniel picked up his phone. More Amara. Proceed with the acquisition paperwork and contact Harrison Smith at the commercial real estate firm. I'm interested in the lease terms for 342 Newbury. In the boutique, Victoria rounded on Vivian. What exactly happened with Eleanor Miller today? I had no idea she was Daniel Miller's mother, Vivian protested. She looked like someone who couldn't afford our merchandise. Victoria closed her eyes briefly, comprehending the magnitude of the mistake. Get the security footage. I want to see exactly what happened. And Vivian, clear out your desk. You're done here. Eleanor settled into her favorite armchair, a cup of chamomile tea warming her hands as evening shadows lengthened across her living room. The day's humiliation still stung, but she'd survived worse. What troubled her more was the thought that Daniel might intervene. The doorbell rang. Through the peephole, she saw Daniel standing on her porch, a wrapped package tucked under his arm. "Daniel," she said as she opened the door, "this is a nice surprise. I thought you had meetings all afternoon. Some things are more important than meetings." He bent to kiss her cheek, then followed her into the living room. Daniel sat on the sofa, placing the package on the coffee table between them. "I brought you something." Eleanor eyed the distinctive Stella Maris packaging. "Oh, Daniel, you didn't. It's the vase you wanted for Jessica. I can't accept this, not after how they treated me. I understand, but I thought you might like to know that the saleswoman who was rude to you has been fired, and Stella Maris will be undergoing some ownership changes soon." Eleanor studied her son's face. "What did you do?" "Daniel Martin Miller. Tell me you didn't make a scene at that boutique." A slight smile tugged at his lips. "No scene. I simply had a conversation with the saleswoman and then with the owner. And I may be in the process of acquiring the business." "Daniel, you can't buy a business just because someone was rude to me." "I'm not. I'm buying it because it's a sound investment with potential for improved management and better business practices. The fact that they mistreated you only brought it to my attention." Eleanor wasn't convinced. "And I suppose it's just coincidence that you're suddenly interested in the luxury retail sector?" Daniel shrugged. "Diversification is a smart business strategy. Don't use your business jargon with me, young man. I changed your diapers." Despite her stern tone, Eleanor felt a reluctant smile forming. "Mom," Daniel leaned forward, "what happened to you today happens to people all the time. People are judged by their appearance, their age, factors that have nothing to do with their worth. If I have the means to change that, even in one small corner of the world, why shouldn't I?" Eleanor sighed. She'd raised her son to stand up for what he believed in. "Just promise me you won't fire everyone. Most people deserve a second chance. Already ahead of you." The business will continue under new management, with additional staff training on inclusive customer service. With hesitant hands, Eleanor unwrapped the vase. It captured the light, sending prismatic reflections across the walls. "It is beautiful," she admitted. "Jessica will love it." The following week, Eleanor joined Daniel for lunch near Newbury Street. As they walked past Stella Maris, she noticed changes already underway. The window display featured a mix of price points, and a new sign read, "All are welcome." "That was quick," she commented. Daniel followed her gaze. "When you know something needs changing, why wait?" Inside the restaurant, they received overly attentive service. The complimentary champagne, the chef emerging to personally greet Mr. Miller and his mother. "Does this happen everywhere you go?" she asked. "More or less," Daniel admitted. "Curious, it's not something I particularly enjoy, but it's a reality of being visible in business. And you don't think it's strange? Being treated differently because of who you are rather than how you behave?" Daniel considered this. "It's human nature. People respond to perceived power and status. Though I find it ironic that the same people who might dismiss someone in modest clothes will fall over themselves to please someone with wealth or influence." Their conversation was interrupted by Victoria Harding's arrival at their table. "Mr. Miller, I hope you don't mind the interruption, but I wanted to personally apologize to Mrs. Miller for her experience at our boutique. Eleanor felt uncomfortable as Victoria turned to her. Mrs. Miller, there is absolutely no excuse for how you were treated. It represents a failure not just of one employee, but of the culture I allowed to develop. After Victoria departed, Eleanor shook her head. I hope you weren't too hard on her. Leadership sets the tone, Mom. If her staff felt comfortable discriminating against customers, that comes from the top. Daniel's expression softened. But no, I wasn't unduly harsh. The boutique will retain its name and most of its staff. Victoria will help with the transition and then receive a fair consulting fee to step away. And the new management? I've appointed Miranda, the younger saleswoman who tried to help you, as the interim manager. She has good instincts and genuinely wants to create a welcoming environment. Eleanor felt a weight lifting. You're a good man, Daniel. Your father would be proud. I learned from the best, he replied, raising his glass to her. The transformation of Stellamaris began immediately. Under Miranda's leadership and with Daniel's backing, the boutique underwent both physical and philosophical renovations. The intimidating all-white interior was warmed with natural wood elements and comfortable seating areas. Price tags became more visible, and merchandise across various price points was integrated throughout the store. Most significantly, every person who entered was greeted with the same respectful attention, regardless of appearance or apparent spending power. 3 weeks after the incident, Eleanor received an unexpected call from Miranda. Mrs. Miller, I hope I'm not disturbing you. This is Miranda Carson from Stellamaris. Hello, Miranda, Eleanor replied, surprised. How did you get my number? Your son provided it. I hope that's all right. I'm calling because we're holding a reopening event this weekend, and I was hoping you might attend as our guest of honor. Eleanor was taken aback. Guest of honor? That seems unnecessary. Not to us, Miranda said earnestly. Your experience highlighted problems we needed to address. The changes we've made aren't just about avoiding negative publicity. They're about becoming a business we can be proud of. Eleanor hesitated. The last thing she wanted was to be paraded around as Daniel Miller's mother. I appreciate the invitation, but I'm not sure it would be appropriate. I understand. If you change your mind, the invitation remains open. No pressure at all. And Mrs. Miller? I wanted to apologize personally for not doing more that day. I should have stepped in sooner. You were in a difficult position, Eleanor said kindly. Thank you for the apology. After ending the call, Eleanor sat thoughtfully. Part of her wanted to put the incident behind her, but another part wondered if her presence might help reinforce the changes being made. The next day, Eleanor called Miranda back and accepted the invitation, with one condition. She would attend simply as Eleanor Miller, a customer who had previously had a negative experience. The reopening event was filled with a diverse group of people, some obviously wealthy, others more modestly dressed, all mingling comfortably. Eleanor noticed several elderly patrons being attended to with the same courtesy as younger, more fashionable customers. Miranda guided her through the store, pointing out the changes. We've reorganized everything. Instead of segregating items by price, we've grouped them by function and design aesthetic. And we've expanded our range to include beautiful pieces at more accessible price points without compromising on quality. Eleanor noted the comfortable seating areas. Those are new. Yes, Miranda nodded. Shopping should be a pleasant experience, not an endurance test. We want people to feel welcome to take their time, sit if they need to, and never feel rushed. As they toured the boutique, several staff members approached to introduce themselves. Most were new hires, but Eleanor recognized a few from her previous visit, including one young woman who had been part of the group that day. The young woman, Sophia, approached hesitantly. "Mrs. Miller, I owe you an apology. I was here that day, and I said nothing when you were being mistreated. I was uncomfortable, but afraid to speak up against a senior colleague." Eleanor was touched by the young woman's honesty. We all face moments when we must choose between what's comfortable and what's right. The important thing is to learn from those moments. Sophia nodded earnestly. "I have." Miranda has been teaching us that good customer service isn't about assessing someone's worth by their appearance or spending potential. It's about treating everyone with dignity and respect. Near the end of the event, Miranda gathered everyone's attention for a brief speech. "Thank you all for being here today to celebrate the new Stella Maris. Our goal is to create a space where beauty and quality are available to everyone, and where every customer feels valued and respected." She gestured toward Eleanor. "We're especially grateful to Mrs. Eleanor Miller, whose experience inspired many of the changes you see today. Mrs. Miller reminded us that true value isn't measured by price tags or appearances, but by how we treat one another." As Eleanor prepared to leave, Miranda presented her with a small gift box. "But this is from all of us, a token of appreciation for giving us the opportunity to do better." At home, Eleanor opened the box to find a delicate crystal ornament. Attached was a card signed by all the staff. "Thank you for helping us see more clearly." Eleanor placed the crystal on her windowsill, where the evening light caught it, casting rainbow reflections across her living room wall. She was grateful that Daniel had used his influence not just to right a wrong, but to create lasting positive change. The next day, she wrapped Jessica's wedding gift, the original crystal vase, with special care. Inside the card, she wrote not only her love and good wishes, but also a brief account of its journey. It was important, Eleanor felt, for Jessica to understand that standing up for dignity and respect could have ripple effects far beyond a single interaction. 6 months after the reopening of Stella Maris, Eleanor stood outside the boutique as a special guest for the launch of the Eleanor Miller Mentorship Program, an initiative designed to provide retail training and employment opportunities for older adults re-entering the workforce. When Miranda had first approached her with the idea, Eleanor had been reluctant to have her name attached to the program. "I didn't do anything extraordinary," she'd protested. "I was just a customer who was treated poorly." "But what happened afterward was extraordinary," Miranda had countered. "You could have demanded everyone be fired. You could have sued for discrimination. Instead, you allowed space for growth and change. That's the spirit we want this program to embody." As she entered the boutique, Eleanor was struck by how dramatically different it felt. The space was still elegant, but now felt welcoming rather than intimidating. Staff greeted every customer with the same warm attentiveness, and the clientele reflected a much broader demographic than before. Daniel approached from across the room. "Mom, you look wonderful. Ready for your moment in the spotlight?" "Hardly a spotlight," Eleanor demurred. "This is really Miranda's achievement, not mine." "I disagree," said Victoria Harding, who had been invited at Miranda's insistence. "This transformation began with you, Mrs. Miller, and your son's determination to address an injustice." Victoria had undergone her own transformation. Initially bitter about the forced sale, she had gradually recognized the flaws in her previous business model. Now working as a consultant for several retail businesses, she was helping them implement more inclusive practices. "The truth is," Victoria continued, "losing Stella Maris was painful, but it forced me to confront some uncomfortable realities. Sometimes we need to lose something to gain perspective." The ceremony began with Miranda explaining the mentorship program. Retail experience is valuable in many fields, and older adults bring wisdom, reliability, and customer connection skills that are assets in any business. This program will provide training, internships, and job placement assistance specifically designed for adults over 50. Daniel announced that Miller Technologies would be funding the program's first 3 years. We believe diversity in the workplace should include age diversity. Experience and perspective are invaluable resources too often overlooked in our youth-obsessed culture. When it was Eleanor's turn to speak, she felt unexpectedly emotional. Cites, 6 months ago, I walked into this store looking for a wedding gift and was judged unworthy of service because of my age and appearance. Today, that painful experience has transformed into an opportunity for others who might face similar judgment. She looked around at the assembled guests. The lesson I hope we all take from this is that dignity and respect should never be luxury items. They should be accessible to everyone, regardless of age, appearance, or economic status. After the ceremony, Eleanor was approached by one of the program's first participants, a woman in her 60s named Ruth, who had lost her job when the department store where she'd worked for 20 years closed down. "Mrs. Miller, I wanted to thank you," Ruth said earnestly. "What I've been trying to find work for almost a year, but as soon as employers see my age, the interviews go nowhere. This program has given me hope again." "I'm glad," Eleanor replied, genuinely moved. "But the real credit goes to Miranda for creating the program and to my son for funding it." Ruth shook her head. "It started with you standing up for yourself. One pebble can start a ripple that becomes a wave." As the evening wound down, Eleanor found a quiet moment with Daniel. "I never expected all of this to come from that day," she said, gesturing around the transformed boutique. "Sometimes the most meaningful changes start in unexpected ways," Daniel replied. "I'm proud of what's happened here, but mostly, I'm proud of you, Mom." "For getting kicked out of a boutique?" Eleanor asked with a wry smile. "For maintaining your dignity when others tried to strip it away. For insisting on second chances rather than retribution. For seeing the potential for good even in a hurtful situation." Daniel's expression grew serious. "You've always taught me to stand up for what's right, but you've also taught me that how we stand up matters just as much." As they prepared to leave, Miranda approached with a gift bag. "This is from all of us," she said, handing it to Eleanor. "A thank you for inspiring us to be better." Inside was a small crystal dish engraved with the words, "One pebble can create a wave of change." Later that evening, as Eleanor placed the dish alongside the ornament she'd received months earlier, she reflected on the unexpected journey that had unfolded from that humiliating afternoon. What had begun as an elderly woman being kicked out of a boutique had evolved into a program that would help dozens of older adults find meaningful employment and dignity in the workplace. She noticed a text message from Daniel. "Mom, the news coverage of the program launch is fantastic. 3 more retailers have already called about implementing similar initiatives. Your ripple is becoming a wave." Eleanor smiled. She'd spent her life trying to instill in Daniel the values of compassion, dignity, and standing up for what's right. Today, she'd seen the full flowering of those lessons as he used his resources to create meaningful change that would help many beyond their immediate circle. Sometimes, Eleanor reflected, the most powerful catalyst for change was simply refusing to accept being treated with less dignity than you deserve. And sometimes, the loudest statement wasn't made with angry words, but with the quiet dignity of walking away, especially when followed by the arrival of a black SUV and a son determined to make things right.